Hello you, it's me. Today we're going to talk about The Long Earth by Terry Pratchett and Stephen Baxter. This is the first in the series of 5 books, so I've got the box set. I'm going to be reviewing all of them. I'll go through the plot, review, thoughts, stuff I liked, a couple of things I didn't at the end, but I'll mark it all on the time bar. Set slightly in the future, this book follows the events that unfold in the wake of somebody uploading a diagrammatic plan to the internet of a stepper box, a device that lets you move one parallel universe to the west or the east with a flick of the switch, unveiling a potentially infinite series of countless parallel Earths, collectively called the Long Earth, on which humanity's evolution never progressed to Homo sapiens, and so for the most part these Earths are pristine wilderness, rich with resources and with enough empty space for everyone. So begins the great human migration, with almost a fifth of the Earth's population just up and leaving, travelling into the Long Earth to seek adventure, fortune, or just dissatisfied with their lives. Peace and quiet. We're not alone though in the Long Earth. Humanity bumps into trolls, peaceful, hairy humanoids who communicate by singing, who, as humanity expands further and further, appear to be fleeing in the other direction. We follow, for the main part, Joshua Valiente, a natural stepper, someone who can mysteriously do it without a stepper box, recruited by an AI named Lobsang to aid them in crewing a dirigible, to seek out the ends, the limits of the Long Earth, to find out where it stops, what it's all for, and what the trolls are running from. I love this book. I'm always wary about collaborations, and I don't know why. Some of the best stuff I've read, especially in sci-fi, has been author collabs. This doesn't feel very heavy on the Terry Pratchett storytelling side of things, but more somebody else's story with some magical Terry Pratchett sprinkles on top. The places in this book where you can really see his influence are in the characters. You have a really diverse cast in a lot of ways. The dialogue, the cultural references, the pop culture stuff, especially music. This is fun sci-fi. Sometimes you read a book and you're like, wow, I forgot how much fun reading can be. I think this is a good breath of fresh air for people who read a lot of hard sci-fi, who like a very thought-out science, a very big, brave concept, but maybe don't want to read something that's super serious. Saying that though, I think this book could work as a gateway from YA or soft sci-fi to hard sci-fi. Even though it addresses some serious stuff, it's quite a light-hearted book and it's so easy to read. I do think, however, there's a lot of people who aren't going to like this. And it seems, looking at other people's reviews, there are some really mixed feelings. A lot of people say this book is boring, and I will say that it is totally concept driven. The whole book is an exploration of another aspect being added to human existence, and exploration of the implications of that and the fallout we'd have. And while we have this exploration going on, we have a slideshow of the various parallel Earths that Lobsang and Joshua visit and briefly explore. This old school, borderline steampunk adventure cruise story really does have the feeling of like a Jules Verne book or H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. Also a lot of similarities to a kid's book I read years ago called The Great Dinosaur Adventure, if anybody knows that. Terry Pratchett has this ability to make super mundane stuff, or stuff that's mundane at first glance, really interesting. I mean, he wrote a whole Discworld trilogy, the Moist von Lipwig books, which are about the postal service, money printing, and trains, and are pretty much books about venture capitalism with a fantasy backdrop. So that's one thing I think he probably influenced in this. The way that this ridiculous thing introduced is made believable by the way people react to it and the way it affects the world. The population leaving, the hit an economy would take from that. The desperate exertion that would quickly turn to violence of a government trying to keep control of its people. The right of a government to buy and sell land a million Earths away, and what property law means. The animosity between steppers and phobics, people who are unable to step, and the conflicts that would arise from that venomous jealousy and fear. Meanwhile, you have these really interesting questions about consciousness, about God and religion, respect for life, conservation, responsibility. I love this book. I really liked it. A lot of people whose thoughts I've read seem to have given up after book 1, partly because it was boring and there was no story, and partly because it didn't explain anything. I think this is definitely one story in 5 books. This is an introduction to a world with hints at things to come, laying the groundwork for you to explore as the story goes on, why things are the way they are. I think to really appreciate this, it's going to be a case of appreciating it not as a standalone book, but as book 1 of 5. Just really quick, the only thing I didn't like about this book was kind of a trope that I don't enjoy in any book, and it was that Joshua Valiente has a very much chosen one vibe. I hope in future we see the story start to pull away from being so Joshua-centric, and we get a look at a bigger cast, maybe with storylines running alongside each other, so we get to explore more attitudes towards the Long Earth, not through the eyes of the main character. Just a short review for this one. It's a very easy read. Thanks for tuning in for the review, though. If you like sci-fi, join our sci-fi book club Discord, which I'll link down below. Also, follow me on Twitter, which I'll link down below, and Goodreads, which I'll link down below. And I'll see you soon for the next review. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!